Oh, what a miss. What a miss.
All right, we'll just go live. I think my internet. Well, that was a way to start the podcast. We'll go live now. I don't think my internet connection likes to play that intro video when it's not going too flush. So we'll just kick things off as we are right now. Episode 78 of the TradeMate Sports Betting Podcast. As you all know, a live betting preview of this weekend's Premier League action, game week 21 we're at now, even though there's been a few teams missed a few games here and there, a few through COVID. We'll also be going through the Euro football action. We'll go through the EPL, League One, Italy, Spain, Serie, La Liga, all those kind of places. And as we all know, this podcast is brought to you by MANSCAPED, and maybe towards the back end of the podcast, I can tell a funny story about our man Nigel, who was messaging me on the weekend with some very surprising messages, but related to MANSCAPED. We can get back to that. We can get to that towards the end. But if you guys have any questions related to this weekend's games or any betting advice, anything like that, just send them through on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, and we'll get to them towards the back end or during the podcast. And exciting news at the end of the podcast, we will announce the winner. Get the winner of a TradeMate t-shirt. And I know how much you've been wanting to get your hands on one of these, Nigel. I was sad to see that you didn't enter the contest, mate. But
I saw they've been going on eBay for £2.99. So I was we could get a few and get some money. Yeah, of course I want one.
Yeah, mate, I mean, we talk about value all the time here, mate, and I mean £2.99, that is extreme value. How about free? T-shirt?
That'd be lovely. I love one.
Well, we've kind of introduced Nigel there from Premier Sports Players, but I'll introduce now our card betting expert, the man who's full of stats, George Gamble. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Apart from the lockdown haircut taking effect, I look like part of the Hitler Youth. It's just getting beyond the joke now, to be honest. But yeah, apart from that, mate, I'm absolutely sweet.
He's come in hot today, Nige.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's shown up when I was on. I know he usually goes running, doesn't he, when the competition's quite good. So I'm surprised he's turned up. But I'm glad you sent that money, Alex. People used to come on with him, but now we've negotiated my pay, and you've guaranteed you'll pay me more than him. I'm glad to be on, mate. Glad to be on.
If you get paid a Freddo, you get more than me.
Well, you need to speak to your agent because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'll be on to MANSCAPED, and I'm actually said I'll do some modelling for them to get double the money. So there you go.
What part of yourself are you modelling?
Listen, mate. Listen, there's a lot to get through down there. So I'm very, very good person to modelling. And I'm glad we come to negotiation, Alex. And it's nice to see George here. And I'm sure when he finds out how much I'm getting, he won't appear next week. Thanks, mate.
Well, it's great to have both of you back on. It's been a while. It's been since Christmas, so it's nice to see you guys in the same chat room or video room, webcam room, whatever you want to call it, all together in the same place.
George's nan's room.
But I'll quickly recap the results from last week. Well, you weren't here, Nigel, but best of the weekend of George has got up once again. He's at an 80% record now, 12 from 16. Huge sample size there. Getafe versus Bilbao. You said those teams were dirty, mate, and they certainly were. 8 yellow cards, 31 fouls. Happy days.
Yeah, easy, mate. Honestly, they're disgusting. So I was looking forward to that one. What a way to round off the weekend. It was just an absolute fight in Bilbao. Like it was brilliant. From watching cards, like I don't mind the game getting broken up just with cynical fouls. It's quite entertaining for me. So yeah, that was a good game to watch. But good weekend all in all. To be fair, I think most of the selections that I picked, obviously on the podcast, came through, didn't they? So yeah, I was happy with that.
Yeah, well done, mate. And Nigel, I mean, we haven't seen you for 2 weeks, but you had a decent outing last time. I think you got 2 from 3. The Oxford game was cancelled, so you didn't get that one through. Just the one loser in the Marseille game. So well done to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bidding to go a little bit better this week with some strong fancies. And looking forward to it.
Good stuff, fellas. All right, quiz question for the week. Which Arsenal player sealed the 2001/02 title for Arsene Wenger's side with a goal at Old Trafford on the 8th of May,
I know this.
2002? All right, well, you can wait till the end of the podcast, Nigel,
it's my sort of era, so I know this.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just trying to help you out, mate. I know you've been struggling lately with the quiz questions, so thought I'd help you out for once, eh?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers. Thanks very much.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I'll bring up my screen here. We've got the big game on Saturday night, I believe, in the UK, or maybe Saturday afternoon in the UK. Arsenal versus Manchester United, a huge game here in the Premier League. Maybe not as big a stakes as it used to be, but still a big game. The last team, a fascinating timeline, you'd say, for these two teams since they last played. So the best odds you can get on Man United are around the 2.55 mark. Arsenal you can get as high as 2.963s, and then draw around the 3.55 mark. As I was saying, last time these two teams played was 3 months ago. Arsenal won 1-0 at Old Trafford. But after that, it's been a completely different story. Manchester United down in the dumps after that loss, but then they did not lose a game until last night against Sheffield United. And then on the other hand, Arsenal went on a shocking run of form after that game, picking up 2 points from their next 7 games. Who would have thought that would happen after a win at Old Trafford? Arsenal, they've certainly reversed that form since, though, with the inclusions of Smith Rowe, Partey, Martinelli, moving Saka to the right wing, who has just been nothing short of outstanding. Don't really know where to kick this off. I'll go to you first, George, mate. What are your thoughts on Manchester United, and maybe what you think about their position on the table at the moment, whether you think it's warranted or not?
Well, I mean, obviously it's warranted in terms of, they're there for a reason. They've been obviously very good away from home. It's kind of, looking at some of the stats, they've won 12 of their last 14 away Premier League matches, and that takes some doing. So, they deserve to be where they are, but ultimately I don't see it being sustainable for them. I don't see them going on this, because they're relying on that away form quite a bit. There's no way that I don't think they're going to be in the race for the title going down to sort of the last 10 games. I don't see them being there at all. I think they will drop off. They are too inconsistent. They've been on a great run of form. Don't get me wrong, but obviously losing at home to the likes of Sheffield United, who are slap bang bottom fighting for their lives. If you're going for a title and that everyone seems to think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's turned it around and that he's going to sort of help them storm to that title, you can't be losing those games. It's as simple as that. And the worrying thing I find for them is they're conceding the same type of goals over and over and over again. It's always from set pieces. It's always from one of their defenders basically calling someone else out and saying you should be doing that. A lack of communication, and if that's the case, you're not gonna win anything like that. Where I see it is, defense wins you titles, obviously attack wins you games, but just at the back, they're just calamitous. They really are. So games like that, I don't see them getting anywhere near the title this season. I think they've had a great run of form. I think they'll finish top 4 again. Maybe finish a little bit higher, but yeah, I don't see them pushing for that title. I think they'll choke there. But in terms of this game, it's so difficult in that I think Arsenal have obviously come into a little bit of form now. They've won 5 of their last 6 Premier League matches. But you sort of look at previous times these two have gone head to head, and I think it's in the last 4 matches under 2.5 goals is here. I know Marius has obviously put on there. He thinks over 2.5 in that one. Obviously, the trends would suggest that that's not the case. But yeah, I'm sort of looking at this and I don't know which way to go. I wouldn't like to put my money and say, no, I definitely think Arsenal or Man United for the win on this one. It's a cagey one for me. Just kind of, sort of looking at, I was looking at the referee appointments. I had it just up here, trying to work out exactly who was the referee for this one going into it, because I might have a look at the cards, but again, English games haven't averaged obviously too many cards. You get a few referees that have very high averages and some that are just awful. So like I know earlier I said to you I was going to look at Southampton Villa, for example, later on, and I saw it was Lee Mason. And I think he averages just under 2 cards a game. It's about a card. It's just obscene, despite the fact that it was Villa. But going back to this one, you've got Michael Oliver. He's okay with cards, but it sounds. I don't want to be the one that says I'm staying on the fence with this one. I don't want anything to do with it, but there's just so many different ways it can go, and there's so many other surefire things around this weekend. I say surefire, but much more confident in those sort of things as opposed to having a play on this one. This is a watching one for me. I'm interested to see what happens and if Mikel Arteta can put another one over on United, but I wouldn't like to say which way it's going to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. As an Arsenal fan, I'm actually struggling to break down this game because it's one of those weird ones. For me, Nigel, my biggest question mark is how United will play, because I get the feeling Arsenal are going to go not all guns blazing, but they're going to be trying to score goals. They're not going to sit back. They're going to try and win this game, as opposed to when they were at Old Trafford, where they did invite the pressure a little bit more and look to hit Manchester United on the break a little bit more. I kind of get the feeling that maybe roles might reverse in this one. What are your thoughts, Nigel?
I agree. I think it's a very, very tricky match to call. With regard to Manchester United winning the Premier League title, being up at the end of the Premier League title, they've got no chance. I mean, I think they'd be lucky to finish in the top four. I think they're punching above their weight. I think that the ones they've won, the matches they've won, have been against pretty poor opposition. I mean, they haven't really been beating anybody of any great note, in my opinion. I know they beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, but there was a draw when they played in the league. People are saying this is the most open Premier League in history. Yet I feel that the anti-post favourites are going to win it by 12 points or more. That's how open it is. I mean, Man City are going to romp the Premier League title and they're going to win it in a canter. They'll have it won by Easter. With regard to this game, if you look at the trends from every supposedly big game this season, they've all pretty much gone unders. All of them. We've mentioned Man United, Man City, Man United, Liverpool's. They've all been unders games. And I feel, obviously, that the bigger games, I think we touched last time I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago, I think the bigger games are the ones that are massively affected with no crowds. You get the freaky game where there's a 3-2 in a mid-table Premier League game, or a 5-2 or a 4-3 or whatever. But the big top games with rivalry between the two clubs go with crowds. You need them. You need them to lift the players when they're in a bad spell, and you need them to spur the opposition on, when they're having their peak. And I think the big games this season, if you've gone under in the big games, you've made money. Marius has got a view here. He's gone in 4 times on the over. If you want to, I'm going to disagree with Marius and go 4 times on the under. So I would definitely be betting under 2.5 goals. I bet under 3 in this Tottenham Liverpool game that's on now, and for the same reason again, another big game where I think that the goals are too high. And just this season, I feel that the fans have been missing from the real top big Premier League games. They haven't been the spectacle we hoped for. And I feel here that we may fall into that trap. As far as the result is concerned, I go back to my point that I've made a lot of times in football betting. If you done a straw poll of asking 200 people in the street or 100 people in the street where this game will go, I can guarantee you that the draw would probably have the most votes. But yet the draw is the biggest price out of all 3 outcomes. And purely and simply that is because nobody ever bets a draw. And the draw is the best result for the bookmakers. I feel that Manchester United will need to get something from this game after the Sheffield United defeat. And Arsenal, I think, are coming in the back of their best performance of the season. I thought they were excellent against Southampton. Absolutely brilliant. They're better. They play better. Their success rate without Aubameyang's good. Whenever he doesn't play, they've got a good win ratio. So for me, I would probably agree with George a little bit. I sit on the fence, but I'd probably have a small play on the draw, which is the biggest outcome of all 3. But I definitely think it's not one of my best bets. But if I was inclined to have a bet during the match or before the match, I wanted to have a little interest, I would lean towards under 2.5 goals, definitely, rather than over.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's one of those hard ones, isn't it? Because both, you just kind of don't really know how the game's going to go. I think in a lot of big games, you can kind of tell, maybe one team's going to sit back, maybe one team's not. But I kind of get the feeling in this one, it's a bit. I could see a situation where both teams go for it. I would not be surprised if both teams kind of went for it. It could turn into a bit of an attack or just a not crazy, but a really entertaining attacking match.
I'm watching the game here, though, Alex. I mean, it's Tottenham-Liverpool. It's 17 minutes into the game. These two sides are absolutely going hell for leather in the game. And, there's been one goal disallowed by VAR and another one-on-one missed. But still, you've got to put them away, haven't you? It's still 0-0. And I think, obviously, with Aubameyang, with however much you rate him or you don't rate him, if Aubameyang plays or he doesn't play, if he doesn't play, that does take a huge percentage of Arsenal's goals away. So it limits their attacking options. Lacazette, I don't fancy him in the big games. He's the kind of fellow who score a couple of goals against Burnley at home or he'll go away at Newcastle and net the winner. I don't fancy him in the big games. And Manchester United, they were dreadful last time out, absolutely dreadful. And obviously teams are going to go out to win. That's what football teams do, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get goals. And I just feel the lack of fans in these games would lift those players. I have a mate who does an analytical. They reckon that players are running so much less per Premier League game now.
You could attribute that to COVID and the fact that I have heard that there's a lot less teams pressing now, and you could attribute that to COVID and just
it's to do with the fans. It's to do with the fans not getting on the back, mate. It's 100%. If a team are 2-0 down, the fans still want a performance. They're just dropping to it. It's to do with not having fans. I mean, you can't. There's not every single player has been affected with COVID. But that's to do with when matches hit lulls, the fans in stadiums increase their playing levels and demand something. And now they're not getting the demand, and especially in the big games, they're not putting it in. So for me, under 2.5 goals. You
don't think it's because, they've got so many games, 3-day backups, these kind of things. The coaches are saying, don't press, don't expend or waste your energy as much as possible.
It's a possibility, but I do think it's that they're not going to get the backlash from the supporters. If a West Ham player didn't put in a shift, if he played on the Monday or he played again on the Friday, he'd know all about it at West Ham. There's clubs that they know all about it, and I do feel that there's so many lulls in football matches now when literally nothing happens, but those lulls never happen when the fans are in the stadium. So I just think, especially the big games, just the analysis of this game, the bigger matches in the Premier League season have notoriously gone under. So I'm unders.
All right. Love it. Marius has said, mate, if it goes over next week, you have to pay the beer. So
yeah, no problem, Marius. I'll buy the beers next week. We're locked down till April, so that's on me. Yeah.
considering his name's Marius,
cheers, Marius. Lovely jubbly.
I'm assuming he's from Norway or something, or somewhere in Scandinavia, going by his name. So, good luck getting a beer from Nigel. All right, Nige, you can kick things off this week. You've got 3 games you want to look at, mate. George has just got the 2, so we'll kick things off with you, mate. We're staying in the Premier League. Are you right there, George?
I'm sweet, mate. I didn't want to do any product placement, but all other fast food stores are available.
Yeah.
There we go. For those listening in, George is just having his McDonald's soft drink. But anyway, Manchester City versus Sheffield United, Nigel. Where would you like to take me here, mate?
Well, I mean, it's not a massive odds play, but it's a play that I've been playing in the last few weeks, pretty much when they're playing bottom half sides, and been collecting pretty much every time. Manchester City are just on fire. I mean, we know how good they are. They're doing all this. De Bruyne's still out. He's going to come back. Aguero will come back. It'd be like signing a new player when Aguero comes back, providing even if he's 75% fit for the running. And they will win the Premier League title, and they will win it by a big margin. There's no doubt, in my opinion. But in this game here, the attacking prowess of Manchester City has been getting the plaudits for years and years and years about how good they are going forward. But they've now hit this fantastic formula at the back with Stones and Diaz and Cancelo. And now I feel that the bet here is they're really being underrated by the books, because when Man City used to play, you always used to think they could score 4, but they'd always give you 1. I'll rephrase that, always give you 2. But the thing is here is that Man City now are very, very strong defensively. I mean, they've on this unbeaten run in the Premier League of 12 matches, they've won the last 12. 10 of those matches they've kept clean sheets. And Sheffield United, I know they scored 2 goals against Manchester United last time out, but one of them was went off the post, and the other one was a deflected shot. Their goal XG in that game was very, very low, and they overperformed on the performance. Prior to that, I think they've only scored 5 goals in the Premier League this season. It was the first time they scored 2 away from home, and I just feel that Man City do a professional job here. I think they win 2 or 3-0, no problem whatsoever. I cannot see the Sheffield United attack troubling Manchester City whatsoever. And the other reason I like this bet is because I think that Sheffield United, well, 2 reasons I like the bet. The first thing is obviously in top class sport, whenever you have a big high, like beating Manchester United or you beat Roger Federer at Wimbledon, the next week you're on court number 18 against the Latvia number 7 and you get beaten straight sets in tennis. And the same thing happens in football. Once you beat Manchester United, you feel you're gung-ho and you go into a game and you always come down. It's a big come down. And I think the Sheffield United side will look at this game. They know really they'll play their best and they'll play their hearts out, but they know they probably can't beat Manchester City, and they will probably conserve their energy for Tuesday night when they play West Brom in the Premier League, which on Tuesday will be a massive match at the bottom of the game. That is their big game. If they can win that, then they believe that they can get out of the Premier League. They don't think realistically they're going to get anything out of Man City. And I think if they go 1 or 2-0 down in this game with about half an hour to go, they may think about that game and rest a few players. I don't think Man City will win 5 or 6, but I do think Sheffield United will not score. And I think at 4-6, which is 1.66, it was with Betfair Sports. It was 1.8 yesterday. The Manchester City win to 0 is a fabulous bet in this game, because I think Man City will win. They're 1-10 to win the match. They're 1.1, so you get 1.66 on them to win to 0. I think is probably the best bet in the Premier League this weekend.
Yeah, what bookies have you seen that? Oh, sorry, you go, George.
No, I was saying,
it was with Betfair. Sorry. It was on Betfair Sports. You're looking at the wrong market there. You're looking, if you go down further down on odds checker, it will say to win to 0. You've actually ticked on. No, you picked on Man City to win to 0. If you the actual go back again, you'll see the market to win to 0. So go back to the main menu and then scroll down, and you'll just see it's a win to 0 on its own. There you go. And that'll be every bookie. I've done it before. I've done this once or twice before, my friend.
All right, go ahead, George.
I would say no, because it's a bet that I've gotten quite a lot recently as well. Particularly, I went fairly big on it. Obviously, against West Brom, it was even sweeter in the fact that one of my best mates is a West Brom fan, so that was quite good. Just defensively, John Stones, everyone was kind of sort of thinking at some point he's going to be loaned out, he's going to be sold. Pep's lost faith in him. He's just awful. He can't go over his mistakes. He's always going to give you a mistake a game. He's just not good enough for the back line. But when he's got someone solid next to him, like Diaz has been incredible since he's arrived. I went so far as to say, I think it might even be against United when we beat them. I've not seen a domination performance at centre half for Manchester City like that since Kompany. The lad's got everything. He's only 23, so I don't want to put too much on him. But what we've seen so far, he's got every single attribute that you want for a world-class centre half, and so far we're reaping the rewards for that. So, in terms of your bet, I think it's a great shot, and I agree in terms of Sheffield United's big game is against West Brom. So they'll look at this one and think that we just beat Man United. We weren't expecting that. We go to City. It's kind of a free hit, really. We're not expected to win that. So all eyes on West Brom. So I think that's even that at that price is a great bet.
How low would you go, Nigel?
Well, I mean, when I bet this before the Sheffield United before the Manchester United game, it was 1.8. And it's gone down to 1.66, which I think is probably about right. On the exchanges, you can probably get about 1.7, but I think 166 is value. If it goes down to 160 or it goes down to 157 or something like that, I wouldn't play. But 166, 1.7 at 1.8, it was a knocking bet, but no lower than 1.66, no lower.
Okay, and I'm just looking at the line here. It looks like the line's at about -2.2.
Just another thing on that, Alex. Just another thing on that. Well, since Sheffield United have come back into the Premier League, when the first time they're in the Premier League, they got relegated, and they played. They've never scored against Manchester City as well. So they've played them, I think, 5 times.
Okay.
One was a 0-0 draw and 4 wins to 0 for Man City, including a win this season. But never been high margin games. They've always been 1-0, 2-0. They've always given them a game, and they've been tough opponents. And then the class has shone through. And that's the kind of game I feel. So I wouldn't get involved at the handicap at 2s or 1 3/4, because I feel if they go 1 or 2-0 up, then I feel the game will just sort of web out. Yeah, and I think that Sheffield United will think about Tuesday, and Man City just got another 3 points, another clean sheet, and bring players off for some. Got the Champions League games coming up. They don't want to put too much pressure on players. So I think I wouldn't bet the handicap, but I think the win to 0, or if you can't get the win to 0, maybe bet 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 Man City, and you'll be okay. Yeah.
All right. Terrific, mate. Marius agrees with you. So there you go. You don't gonna have to give him a beer if that one doesn't get up, which is good. And we just had a question come through saying, do any Chinese people follow this channel, mate? I'm not too sure. I'm sure there's a few, but I definitely know it's not our biggest audience. But mate, thanks for tuning in, and keep on watching. Sorry about Nigel and George. They're just different fellas, but we'll try and get them on as much as possible. They've always got some good insight. But we'll move on. Atalanta versus Lazio, Mr. Gamble.
Yeah, so this is one that took my eye, actually. Obviously, I watched the Coppa Italia midweek, which is obviously this fixture, and I had both teams to see 2+ cards, and that absolutely just flew in. So these are two very high-flying teams, but I'm kind of looking at this one in that Atalanta, they commit the 3rd highest fouls per game across the entire league. The way they play, they're very high intensity, but they're obviously against Lazio, similar kind of styles. But Lazio are one of they've got the most ill-disciplined side in Serie A this season. Last season it was Bologna, and they were one of my favourites, and this season it's turned out to be Lazio. They just seem to kind of either lose a bit of concentration, but they're just so dirty. They don't. The Lazio of old would play around people. They just like to break things up, break all the opposition's attack up, and they obviously get carded for it. And the Coppa Italia was actually a really fun and interesting game to watch. But I was also looking at this one in the referee Daniel Schiffi. So he awards about roughly, if you want to be exact, 4.14 cards per game so far this season. And these two teams, Atalanta and Lazio, have both had a game under this ref previously so far this season. Read that into what you will. But in those games, I believe Lazio saw 4 cards, and Atalanta saw 2 of those cards as well. So just looking at this one, I think that it's mainly an odds play, because I think for both teams to see 2+ and there to be a first half card over evens, considering how easily it landed the last time, considering how many times it has landed for Lazio this season, and just the nature of these two and their head-to-head. So I'd have this more about a 1.8 shot myself. So this is more of a value bet. Obviously, I know I don't read too much into head-to-heads because every game's different, every bit of impetus and motivation is different. But when these two take to the field, it's always an interesting and fun game. So purely at that price, I think it's well overpriced at 2.05. Like I said, I want that more at 1.8. And we know how cards are absolutely notorious in Serie A. Even with no fans, it seems that the averages haven't dropped that much in Serie A. So this was one that really took my fancy, particularly with Chiffy in charge. So to keep it nice and concise with this one, I'm going to go with both teams to see 2+ cards, but they're also to be a first half card for either side as well. And that's at 2.05, and I got that on Bet365.
Oh, interesting. I just got up the market on Bet365, and it says over 4.5 cards for this one is at 1.61. So that's a lot shorter than what you just quoted. I know it's a completely different market, but yeah. I guess it's the first half aspect of it. Yeah,
well, that's it. And also, you both teams try, see 2+ as well. But I think that will easily land personally. I really like that. But again, with the price, but also even if it's a 1.8, I think I'd back that. The lowest I'd back it would be at is probably, looking at it, I'd want it a bit higher than 1.75. Anywhere between 1.75 and 1.8, and I'd still have a go. So 2.05, I think, offers great value on that one.
Yeah. And a quick thank you for last week, mate. I finally got, it was only the second time I was able to get on one of your card bets, because in Australia, Bet365 is kind of the only one that offers it. And I could finally found the market. I think it was the Roma bet, the over 2.5 cards on Roma. That
Yeah, it was
sounds
at
right.
6-5, wasn't it? So that'd be
Yeah.
what, 2.2?
Yeah, finally got on. Well, the second time I got on one of your car bets. Very, very rare that I can do that, but at least for the UK listeners, probably mostly, or maybe European listeners, they can get on most of them. So,
Yeah.
Just on a side point to that game, Alex, I've actually backed Atalanta to win the match. They were 1.77, I think. I think they're coming to about 1.72 now. And I've also backed Atalanta to win Serie A at 16-1. They're on fire at the moment, and they're with doubts over AC Milan. They thrashed AC Milan last weekend. The doubts over AC Milan, Inter Milan. I'm not really fancy Juventus. Off the pace a little bit this year. Atalanta are absolutely on fire, and we all know how many goals they score. And they got Real Madrid in the Champions League, and they're really just trying to get as many wins they possibly can to go into that game, knowing that the league is sort of taken care of. So they're a side that really to be with the next 2 or 3 weeks before that game, and they're the best team in European football to watch. But I'm interested in what George said. But from the match perspective, I've actually bet Atalanta for that game.
And you said you got 1.77?
Well, I think so. Yeah, on the exchange, I think they're still around about 175, 17. Yeah, I got 177.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're definitely the form team in the league as well. You know, that you look at their last 6 games, they've conceded. Yes, they conceded 3 goals, but they scored 16 in that time and haven't lost a single one. So for me, for my bet as well, you know, you look at Lazio, who just try and break up play to stop the opposition, you know, creating chances of gaining momentum. And again, this one just has cards all over it for me. So that's why I like that one. But yeah, Atalanta, absolutely brilliant team to watch. They have been for a number of years now, haven't they?
What odds did you get for them to win the Serie A, Nige?
16-1.
16-1. What are they into now?
I don't think they'll be far off that price now.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they'll be far off that.
All right.
But they battered. They beat AC Milan last week. You know, there was a sort of a side, and they were top of the league. But they put out AC Milan had a few players out, but they won so well as well. And there's problems in Milan, and I think they're an uneasy favourite.
All right, Nigel. Once again, mate. Second time in a row, you're going to take me to League One, and there's no surprise that you want to look at Oxford once again. They're playing Fleetwood this weekend.
Mate, this is my well, I've already pretty much retired anyway, but this is my second retirement job on Oxford this season. I follow League One. That's really, I would say, the league that I follow most. I used to play a bit of football. I played for Wimbledon when I was a younger lad, and I played for Kingstonian in non-league in England and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people at Wimbledon, and I used to go and watch them all the time. And I've been watching Oxford for the last couple of years, and they are probably the best footballing side in League One. I feel they've got a very good manager. He's no love lost at Wimbledon with him. His name is Carl Robinson, who was the manager of the MK Dons. But he's a very astute cookie, and Oxford were always a side that I thought would be up there challenging at the top of the end of the season. And I bet them at the start of the season at 12-1, and I bet them again at 16-1. And then they got hit with huge COVID problems, massive. But they were the first club in England to really be affected with them. They lost a lot of fixtures, a lot of players. They had a lot of injuries, and they were absolutely shocking. But they were still off my ratings, one of the best footballing teams in League One. Well, they went out to 300-1 in the betting, and I backed them at 300. I had 50 quid each way at 300. I bet them at 250, and I bet them again at 200. I bet them 150, 100. And now you're seeing the real Oxford. Now you're seeing them. They've won 7 on the bounce. They're unbeaten in 11, and they're gradually moving up that table. And they're only, I think they're about 12 points off the top of the table, something like that, which is nothing in League One. I promise you, that's nothing in League One. In midweek, they went to Rochdale, and they won 4-3 in the 94th minute. And that was such a morale-boosting win for them. I mean, they continue this run they've had, and that they were on fire. And they are absolutely on fire. And player for player, they've got a striker in Matty Taylor who plays up front, who's one of the best strikers in that division. I mean, he'll get you a hatful of goals. They've got some real young, creative players in midfield. They're solid at defence, and they've got a good goalkeeper. They've got everything you need and a good manager. And now, in midweek, all the top 3 in that division drop points. And the next 4 or 5 games, they play 2 winnable matches, and then they have matches against a couple of the top sides, and you will see whether they're title contenders, which I still think they are, or they're fall about the wayside. But in this game, straight after the game, they were 2.25 on the exchanges. 2.25. I couldn't believe it. But there wasn't much up there. There was a few £100, which I snapped up. The next morning, they were 2.15. I took the 2.15. I make them a 1.9, 1.87 shot to win this game. Fleetwood were another side that I saw last season who were very good. They were very unlucky last season. Both of these sides were affected by the early stoppage of League One. They were both in the promotion shake-up, and they didn't do it because of the points per game system, and they fell out of it. But Fleetwood, managed by Joey Barton, Joey Barton left the club, and since then they've just fallen off a cliff. They haven't won a game since he left. They're not scoring any goals. They've got 2 strikers up front who are good goal scorers in this level, but they've gone, and they don't seem the same club. Taking Joey Barton out the side, the whole team have lost his identity because they sort of played like him, ferocious, in with a tackle, never give up. But this side now just looks like a chocolate fire guard. They're spent to me. They're not scoring goals. They're in trouble, and they go to Oxford, who are absolutely on fire. And I think anything above even money, you've got to be with Oxford. My only worry is they've never, ever, ever beaten Fleetwood in their history. But Fleetwood, obviously, a side that have come into the league only recently, and they probably only ever met a handful of times. But they don't beat Fleetwood. But forget what they did 5 or 6 years ago. Currently, on current form, there is no team hotter in England than Oxford. And I think at evens or anything above 2.0, they're a great bet to beat a Fleetwood side who are absolutely in the doldrums.
Oh, geez, he sold me. All right, you love this. You love this Oxford side, don't you? I saw you tweeting about them the other day, and that big 4-3 win. You love them, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a lot of money riding on them. I mean, I think I'll win about £250,000 if they win the title. So I won't be coming on Trade Mate Sports next season if they're in the. That's the first thing to be getting ditched while I'm sitting on me yacht around the Seychelles. But I might do it with you over there, Alex, if they win. I might do it live from your house, but I might be in Australia. But no, joking aside, I mean they really are a good team. I mean their form in the first 12 games of this season was nothing to what they're about. Now you're really seeing it, and the beauty for me is that they are just absolutely riding high on confidence. I mean, they wouldn't have won that game in the 95th minute if they kept on going. They kept on going because they believe in to get in a winning habit in anything, any sport you do. If you're in that winning habit, you just don't fear anybody, and you just keep grinding out results. That's huge, and that is what they've got at the moment. They're young, they're confident, and and I think they'll beat Fleetwood.
Not worried about a hangover after a long game like that?
No, listen, they've won 7 on the trot. They're not. The other thing is they're good defensively. They've scored an average of 3 goals in those games as well. And Fleetwood haven't scored. I think they haven't scored in 5 of their last 6 league matches. No, scoring goals is winning football matches, and one team can score and one team can't. I think it's the price. I mean, for me, anything above even money, they're a bet. If you've got to bet them at 5 to 6 or 4 to 5 or 180 or 186, I wouldn't bet them. But at evens 2.0 or anything above 2.0, Oxford are definitely a bet in this match.
All right, love it, mate. George, you're taking me back to Italy. How good's this?
Certainly am, mate. You lucky thing. So the next one's going to be, I'm looking at the game between Spezia and Udinese. And the reason this one takes my interest is they're both hovering just above the relegation zone. They've got identical records, both won, lost the same amount of games. Only goal difference separates them by 2. Both of them are only 4 points off that relegation spot. Spezia are, again, similar to what, they're basically, like I was explaining with Lazio, they're just below Lazio, only got a card less than them to stop them being the worst carded, the most carded side in Italy. Again, they're just utter filth. So they're a team that I absolutely love. But no, they're at home to Udinese, and Udinese, despite their position, they don't ever get that many cards. They didn't last season. They're not this season. They're not ones to really, get players suspended through totting up and getting fired, this, that, and the other. They don't really tend to put. That's not their game. That's not their game at all. However, Spezia kind of make games that way, regardless of who you are. You can have the cleanest record going. The way they play against you, they'll get teams to buy it again. That's just the way they play. They're just on the front foot. They're aggressive. but they can't stop fouling in dangerous areas. It's just what their last year's challenge. They're not organised enough. So as soon as a team gets into that, one of those dangerous areas looking like they're about to make something happen, you can bet your bottom dollar someone from Spezia is just going to come in and smash them. It's just the way they play. And, so far it's working for them. They're, it's their first season in Serie A. They're not in the relegation zone at the moment. Not in great form. They've obviously won a couple of games in their last 5. But I was kind of looking at this one and, Spezia see the second highest, cards per game at home this season. They see on average about 3.3 per game on playing on home soil. And the referee, Di Martino as well, he's not ref many games in Serie A. In fact, in the last 5 years, the last 3 years, he's only ref five games. But he's averaging in those, all of them, including this season, 4.5 yellow cards per game. And in those, the home side's seen 2 or more on 4 out of 5 occasions. He seems to favour the home side quite a bit. So the bets I was kind of looking at with all of that in mind, particularly with Udinese, how, in my mind, soft they are. I quite like the prices of 2 bets here, really. So first of all is Spezia to see a card in both halves. So that their averages at the first half of the season when on home soil, they average 1.3 cards in the first half and 2 in the second. Against Udinese, again, they don't average that many. But I was also looking, Spezia concede the most fouls. They commit the most fouls than anyone in Serie A, obviously with Lazio not too far behind. But yeah, around 16.6 fouls per game for Spezia. And I just don't see Di Martino allowing that many fouls to go through without showing them a few cards. I just don't see it happening. And I think Udinese, they're the better side, definitely. Obviously, they've had quite a long period in Serie A, and Spezia have just come out. I think they've got quality. It's just not quite working for them at the moment. They've been unlucky in quite a few games this season. So I think they'll be in control against Spezia. So I'm going to expect Spezia to just try and fly through them to stop any sort of Udinese attacks, because it's going to be Udinese on the front foot, I'd say. So for these ones, Spezia to see a card in both halves at 1.8, I thought offered value. I'd have that more around 1.6, given what they've been like this season. And I also quite like the look of a play on Spezia on a card handicap of minus 0.5. So as long as they see one more card than Udinese in the game, that one comes through as well. And that's at 1.85. Now, they're 2 bets that I really like, just considering that I see the emphasis being with Udinese in this game. I think they've got much better quality. And I know how Spezia can't avoid fouling in some of these dangerous areas. Some of the fouls they commit are silly. If we were watching that in the Prem, if we were sat down at the Saturday evening watching our team play or in the Championship or whatever, and we saw some of the fouls that they commit, we'd be tearing our hair out. Like, what are you doing making a challenge there? And they do it on a regular basis. So with that in mind, those are the 2 plays I'm going to have. It's Spezia on a 0.5 card handicap at 1.85 and Spezia to see a card in both halves at 1.8.
Terrific, mate. I'm trying to find some markets for people watching. And Odds Checker just doesn't really provide too much. Maybe in the future I can just get up the Bet365 site and have a look around. But as I said, in Australia, it's very limited, so I'd have to throw the old VPN on. Not that I have a VPN, of course, but we'll move on. Spain, Nigel, to finish off, mate. We're going to Spain. Eibar versus Sevilla.
Yeah, I only gave you the 3 because I thought that we had to give 3 plays each. So I only looked at the European stuff today, actually, and I thought Seville looked a little bit of a bet at plus money against Eibar. They were plus 115 this morning when I bet them at plus 115, and I think that was too big. I'd make them an even money shot. They've got a very good away record. They're in the Champions League positions. They've got a very good away record. They've only lost 3 games away from home this season against sort of the better teams in Spain. And when you look at Eibar, despite their sort of lofty-ish position, which is sort of just below mid-table, they have the worst record in Spain, worse than all the teams in the relegation zone. They've only won 1 of their 10 games, and they've only scored 5 goals at home, which is a shocking amount of games you would see. On the road, Seville, they've lost 1 of their last 11 matches, and that was at Atletico Madrid, the league leaders, and they've won 9 of those. So they've won 9-11, and 6 of those 9 wins they've won to 0. Eibar are just dreadful as a goal threat. I think there's a huge gulf between the 2 sides, and I think now that Real Madrid and Barcelona have started to find their form a little bit, and they're sort of pushing into that Champions League game, into that Champions League sort of positions. This is a must-win for Seville to maintain their position in that Champions League slot. And I think odds against a side that have only won one game at home this season, only scored 5 goals, and with that fantastic away record that Atletico Madrid have, I made them odds on here. I made them, about minus 195 to about, possibly even money at a push. But I think to get plus 250, 115 is too big. I keep referring to 115 as American. I've worked so much in America.
You've suddenly gone American, mate. I'm not sure what's going on here. You okay, mate?
My human calculator, because I'm usually working American odds. Yeah, so at 215, I think they're a bet. I don't know what they are now on the exchanges, but that's what price they were first thing this morning, 215.
Yeah, look, it looks like those prices are gone. You can get best odds I can see at the moment at 2.1 on Unibet, and then the exchanges at around 2.08.
Well, that's good. Snap that 2.1 up with Eurobex. That won't be with Unibet, because that won't be along. They should be an even money shot. They should be an even money shot at the best. And I think they would start. I think they'll start around about even money. So yeah, get with Sevilla to beat Eibar. It's an early kickoff on Saturday. I think it's 1 o'clock kickoff on UK time. It's an early kickoff. So make sure you get on early.
So lowest odds you take there be about 2.1, you'd say?
Yeah, I'd take 2.1 all day long. I mean, but I'll go even lower. I mean, anything above evens, anything above evens, I'd bet them.
All right, easy. All right, fellas, that kind of wraps things up a bit. Before we get into the giving away a T-shirt and maybe answering some questions and the quiz question, all the fun stuff at the end, we'll go to our best bets of the weekend. George, mate, you've given away a few here. If you had to summarise and give me your best, mate, where would you go?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I like all of them, otherwise I won't be speaking about them. But for me, the Atalanta...
I feel like you say that every week and it makes me sound like an absolute dick.
Boot fits, mate, the boot fits. And, but no, for me, I'm going to be going to Atalanta and Lazio with both teams to see 2 or more cards and a first half card at 2.05, simply because I think it's overpriced. I think the other two maybe slightly high, but I think there's far more on this one. I think it's way too high for that one. So yeah, for me, bet of the weekend, Atalanta versus Lazio, both teams to see 2 or more cards and there to be a card in the first half at 2.05.
Awesome. And Nigel, mate, where would you go?
Oh, it's a tough one to find the best one. A bit like George, I agree with all of them. I've got them all. I bet them all for the same amounts. I would have to probably go with Manchester City to win to 0 against Sheffield United. You're not going to really get rich. I mean, 4-6, 1.66. It's not the best, most attractive of prices, but I think it should be a lot shorter than that, given how strong Man City are defensively and how weak Sheffield United are as an attacking threat.
Yep. All right, too easy. Just got a few comments come through here. Someone said under 8.5 goals. I guess that's for the Eibar game. So massive prediction there from Gansey. Hope that one comes through for you, mate. I'm not sure what odds you get for that. Hopefully something above 1.0. But other than that, if you want to find these guests, these terrific guests that we have, you can find them on Twitter at @CGeorgeGamble and at Seeley Nigel. That's SEELEY_Nigel. Check out some of George's write-ups for We Love Betting, always quality, and you can check out Nigel's Tipster website at premiersportsplays.com. Probably time to get to the T-shirt winner competition. Now, I'll bring up my screen here, and I've gone to a lot of effort here. Look at all these names that are just spinning around the wheel, looking to win a Trade Mate Sports T-shirt here. So just another look at the T-shirt. Oh, you probably can't see my screen all that well, but you know it's in high regard, this T-shirt. Everyone wants a piece of it, and I'll spin the wheel. There's a few names. They're all on Twitter, and then the normal names are all from Facebook. So good luck to everyone. And I see George is in the he's in the running here, and I seriously apologise if he gets the
Why
win.
am I not in it? Why am I not in it?
You didn't like the post, mate.
I just thought we were just in it because we give our time to come on here.
All right, mate.
What's going on here?
Do you want me to add you in then, if I can?
Next week.
All right,
Next,
I'll add you in. No, Nigel, mate, I don't want you to have a big cry, mate.
He's going to cry. He's going to cry. Just get him in.
Cry.
I don't want to be in it. I don't want to be in there.
All right, ready?
This would be brilliant if it's me. I would love it if it's me. I would absolutely love it.
Oh, imagine
this would be absolutely brilliant. Nigel Seeley, get in there.
Oh, it's the over specialist. I don't know if I can hear you guys, but
no, I was 2 away. It's 2 away.
All right, I'm just going to turn that off. I can't really.
Can
All
you
right,
hear me?
I think I've got you guys now. Over Specialist is the winner of a TradeMate Sports T-shirt. He's actually, funny enough, he's been on the TradeMate Sports podcast before. Great man. I feel like I've rigged that just to give it to someone that I already know, but I'm completely impartial. That's just the wheel. The wheel did its magic, and well done to Over Specialist. Finish off, quiz question of the week, fellas. Which Arsenal player sealed the 2001-02 title for Arsene Wenger's side with a goal at Old Trafford on the 8th of May 2002? Old mate Nigel says he's already got the answer, so maybe, George, you want to go first this week?
Yeah, I'll go first, but I'm pretty sure Nigel was about 30 when it happened, probably. I'm trying to think who it might be.
I thought he would have been 50, but anyway.
Let me leave the humour to me, boys.
I feel obviously that's when Parler was about, wasn't it? But it'd be like, I don't know, it'd be something like Wiltord, Parler.
Yeah, he's got it. She knew. He's been googling it all the way through. He's been Wiltord is the answer. Wiltord is the answer.
I would have gone Parler. I thought it was someone like that. I'd have gone Parler. But
you were not made for quizzes, were you? Do you go to the local pub quiz and just scream out the answer every time it comes through?
Who, me?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to say the answer.
Oh, well, you got to let him have a guess first. Yeah, he
wouldn't have said Wiltord. He'd been looking at it. Wiltord, Parler, Wiltord. It was the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. It was the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. Oh, was it Wiltord or Wiltord? There's all the players you could have picked. You could have picked Henri. You could have picked all those players. Oh, was it Wiltord? Oh, come on. You can't kid a kidder. Absolutely.
I've got that. Everything's falling apart. The tech's falling apart.
He's that angry.
He's been Googling that. No doubt about it.
Absolute nightmare.
Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy.
I couldn't hear you. Probably a good thing. Why are you acting like Sylvain Wiltord is? Give me a break.
Wiltord's the answer.
If you don't know who Sylvain Wiltord is, football isn't for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the answer was Sylvain Wiltord, if that's not clear to everyone so far.
I was going to go for Ray Parler, just to be clear, but...
Yeah. Well, George, then you got one wrong, mate. I'm sorry to say. Nigel's beat you in a quiz question. I mean, as if this day wasn't getting bad enough for you, having to spend some time with Nigel.
Yeah,
it depends what you depends what you constitute as a bad day, really. Like, I've had worse days.
All right. Let's finish up there. I haven't talked too much about Manscaped today. But if you want to, the weekend's just around the corner for your UK and European listeners, and if you're in Australia, you better get cracking, because you need to get those private parts, those family jewels, make them looking beautiful this weekend, just like Nigel's son. So if you want a discount on Manscaped, if you want to be looking good this weekend, you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TRADEMATE20. Your balls will thank you. Next podcast coming out will be on Monday. Finally, able to get a guest on the podcast to talk something other than just a standard betting preview. So we've got professional gambler Tony Alvarez from Only Fools Lay Horses coming on. Had a great chat with him yesterday, and that will be out on Monday. But other than that, thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure you do a quick rate and review of the podcast and subscribe wherever you listen to our podcast. And if you're looking to implement some of the strategies we talked about today and weekly on the podcast, the value betting ones, of course, make sure you start a free week trial of TradeMate Sports and start your value betting journey. gentlemen, terrific stuff once again. We covered 6-7 games there. Plenty of information for our listeners this week, and awesome stuff, and go well in your betting.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, you're welcome. Take care.